Did you wash your hands? No, I have a clean dick.
Hey guys. Throughout World of Warcraft's near 14-year run so far, there have been mounts that have come and gone. They used to be obtainable either through old dungeons, quests, raids, or even Game Master mistakes. I thought it would be interesting to give you an exhaustive list of all of these mounts, how they used to be obtained, and why they're no longer available. Mainly for entertainment, but who knows, maybe it'll be useful for all of you mount collectors out there. Ooh. I will cheat for a couple of these.
This is how I'm gonna beat
Four of the ones I'll be covering are actually still very rarely obtainable on the black market auction house, even though their original source was removed. I want to include them though, because they're still interesting, I think, so I'll mention them as I get to them. I guess the best way to do this is to start from the base game and work our way up to the latest expansion. First up, we have all of the old epic racial mounts.
The Palmino!
Up until patch 1.4, the old epic 100% speed mounts in the game looked
I've only seen one of those in my whole life.
60% speed counterparts. Just different palette swaps pretty much.
The White Stallion?
In this patch, Blizzard made them a bit more epic to match their extreme price by adding some armor onto them. At the same time, these original epic mounts were removed from the vendors, and a quest was added to trade them in for the new armored ones, in case you already bought it before the patch. This was of course before the mount collection tab, where the mounts were actual items that you could use. I wonder if they're going to add those in Classic. It was extremely difficult to afford these back then, and combined with that turn-in, very few survive today, making them some of the rarest mounts in the game. We have the black and frost rams for the dwarves, the icy blue and white mechanostriders for the gnomes, the palomino and white stallion for the humans, the ancient frost saber and black night saber for the night elves, the red and winter wolves for the orcs, green and teal kodos for the taurens, and lastly, the ivory and mottled red raptors for the trolls.
This is so long ago, it's
and
crazy.
Next, we have the old Zul'Gurub mounts.
Well, you can still get that, though.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, these very rarely pop up on the black market auction house, but their original source is now gone, making them almost impossible to get unless you have a lot of patience and gold. As you may know, Zul'Gurub used to be an actual raid before the Cataclysm expansion. There were 2 bosses in here that dropped these mounts, but ever since the remake in patch 4.1, you can no longer get them from here. We have the Swift Zillion Tiger from the High Priest Thikal boss, and the Swift Rizashi Raptor from the Bloodlord Mandokir. These were pretty groundbreaking at the time, because it was one of the only times that you could use a cross-faction mount. Back then, for the most part,
that's why the Raptor was so important. Nobody else could get a Raptor. It was the only one you could have.
Or an alliance on a Raptor was a big deal.
That's right.
The new ZG also has mount drops, but these are also reworks.
Nobody gives a fuck.
These originals are extremely rare to see these days.
I don't like how the Panther looks like
something that isn't obtainable
the old
off
epic
the BMAH though is the black Kiraji battle tank.
Here it is.
I won't go super in depth here since I already covered it in a video.
That's it.
But basically, in classic World of Warcraft, before you could zone into the Ahn'Qiraj raid, you had to complete something called the Ahn'Qiraj War Effort. Both factions had to collect a bunch of trade goods, and a huge quest line also opened up called the Scepter of the Shifting Sands. It was extremely long and difficult to complete, requiring many raids, both indoors and outdoors, and whoever completed it within 10 hours of the first person got a special title called the Scarab Lord and this legendary mount.
I really wish I got it.
You may recognize it as a recolor of those AQ40 mounts. This one is usable outdoors, however,
turn your mic up
and it's the only legendary mount even to this day, not counting GM items. It had some special quirks too. You used to be able to summon it while falling, and you could also buffer it and start summoning it when you're about to exit combat.
Wow!
If you left combat before you finished the cast, you would still summon, which was pretty unique.
Damn!
And as a bonus, in patch 7.3.5, anyone who had this mount also got an updated version.
They gave people this for no reason.
War tank for free. They still kept the original.
That kind of made me mad, actually.
But if you wanted a higher
like they made
version,
a brand new mount just for Scarab Lords.
So both of these are extremely rare, just like everything in this list. but it's not the rarest. The most rare mount wasn't received from a raid, nor an epic quest chain, or anything like that.
Yeah, it was for Ian.
It was received through an error of a game master, and that's the fluorescent green Mechanostrider.
The fuck?
There are a few mounts in the game that have never actually been implemented in any way. They're mostly just recolors of other mounts.
That one looks actually kind of nice.
A no-mage player was having an issue with a mount that he just bought, and he ended up deleting it and made a ticket to a GM to get it replaced with a new one. But, by mistake, the GM sent the player this mount instead, making him the only person in the whole game in every server in every region to have it.
Wow.
However, during the Draenor expansion, he tried to sell his account and thus the mount, and the auction reportedly reached over $15,000 until Blizzard caught wind of it and removed the mount from his journal. Next, we have an event mount, and that's the Brewfest Ram.
What a fucking asshole,
What
dude.
a piece of
Brewfest event
shit.
has gone over some changes over the years. You used to be able to obtain this only during the 2007 Brewfest event.
I missed out on this.
You collected prize tickets by doing various objectives, and if you got 600, you could get a quest starter that either gave you the normal Brewfest Ram or the Swift version of it. You can still get the Swift version and also a Kodo, but for reasons unknown, the blue version was removed for the next year's event, making it quite rare to see these days.
We've only seen like 2 or 3 of these ever.
Kind of funny that the inferior
like half a
version
dozen.
is actually more rare. And also during the Burning Crusade days, we have the original Amani Warbear from Zul Aman. Similar to Zul'Gurub, this raid was repackaged into a dungeon, so this mount was lost in the process.
I love it.
You got it if you completed a timed challenge of killing bosses and freeing prisoners, and if you were fast enough, it would drop from a bag after the Lynx boss. They re-released it as the Amani Battle Bear, which is a purplish recolor.
Got left out in the sun too long.
And speaking of bears, the Big Blizzard Bear is another unobtainable mount.
Ooh.
This was given to attendees of BlizzCon 2008 in the form of a code.
What a nice mount.
And if you couldn't make the trip, you could also get it as
such a rare
part
mount,
of a direct TV subscription.
Damn.
So one of the 2 bear mounts at the time, and it was also the first one to be bound to your account, so you could pass it between characters.
I didn't even know that,
If you're willing to break the terms of service and part with $1,500, you can find them on eBay. Otherwise, it's no longer obtainable though. Next, we have all of the Gladiator mounts.
There's
Players
25?
who obtain the Gladiator title in rated PvP are always awarded with a special mount for that season only. I won't list every mount since there's quite a lot and they're very similar to each other. They're all armored versions of other mounts, and they followed a theme with each expansion. The Burning Crusade had armored nether drakes,
except for the Cataclysm
Wrath had frostworms, Cataclysm had twilight drakes.
For no fucking reason.
Pandaria had cloud serpents.
Those are actually really fucking cool.
Draenor Gronlings, Legion Storm Dragons.
I have that one. That's actually
and
the demonic
BFA
one.
will have armored proto drakes.
Ooh, I have that one too.
To date,
How about
there are
that?
25 of these total that are unobtainable.
I only have 3.
Earlier, we talked about the GM mistake with the Mechanostrider. Well, how about a GM-only mount? Peep's Whistle is the other legendary mount in the game, first data mined back in 2007 during the Burning Crusade.
Yep.
It's of course not obtainable by players, and only lootable through GM commands. The model is the same as the Ashes of Alar, which is still obtainable, and found in the Tempest Keep.
That'd be cool if GMs only had their own special mount.
The only difference is the rarity and the flavor text, which refers to Alex Afrasiabi, who's the lead world designer for World of Warcraft.
Welcome to Alex country.
Moving on to Wrath mounts here. Next up, we have the Plagued and Black Proto-Drakes. The Wrath of the Lich King
love just
was
going
the
through this
first
video and looking at all my
expansion to have
mounts.
achievements. Among these were the Glory of achievements, where players have to complete special challenges in each raid instance. There are 2 for the Max Ramus raid, titled Glory of the Raider, for each size, 10 player and 25 player. These 2 mounts were rewards for completing these achievements. The Plagued for the 10 player version, and the Black for 25 man. The achievements are still in the game, but in patch 3.1 with the release of Ulduar, the mounts were removed as rewards. They did this because they wanted
you can
to keep
still get the plague
special,
one though from the
so
auction
with
house.
the next tier coming out,
Can't get the
it
black
would be
one.
too easy to get. Although Old War itself had the same meta achievements with mounts as well, and those are still obtainable today, so there is some inconsistency.
Thank God,
Speaking
I never
of
got
which,
the Old War ones.
The plagued proto-drake can rarely be found on the BMA Age,
There you go.
but not the black one. Why?
Because
no
it's
one
black.
knows. So, not the rarest mounts out of this list, but still pretty darn rare since they were only available for that one patch. They aren't the only unobtainable Wrath mounts though. One of the toughest mounts to obtain was the Tribute to Immortality horses. This was an achievement that required you to clear through the entirety of the Trial of the Crusader raid on heroic difficulty without anyone dying.
Didn't get this one.
Each faction got a special mount.
I missed out.
The Horde got the Crusaders' Black Warhorse, and the Alliance got the white one.
I'm just a dumb piece of shit.
It was retired in the Cataclysm pre-patch,
Fucking
so it was still obtainable through ICC.
You don't
and
have
the
that
Ruby
Blancos? Yeah, I
Sanctum,
know he does.
But still, a very tough achievement to complete, and it's quite rare to see one out in the wild.
Man.
And to follow the scheme
Wrath.
with the other Wrath mounts, there were also 10-player counterparts for the same achievement.
This one was good.
The Alliance got the Swift Alliance Steed, and the Horde got the Swift Horde Wolf.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was great.
Next, we have a couple of promotional mounts.
Do I actually have this one?
The Spectral Griffin and the Spectral Windrider.
Oh, I do.
There was an old system called the Scroll of Resurrection.
Why'd they get rid of that? That was
sort
great.
Of recruit old friends that dropped the game.
What the fuck?
If they hadn't been subscribed in 3 months, you could send them an email and give them some free playtime. And if they ended
Wait,
up
you have the Spectral Griffin?
you would get these mounts as a
dude,
reward.
what up?
Oh no!
What up,
dude?
You got the Griffin.
Mr.
and if you're
Jones
over,
is
you got the
gonna
Windrider.
be so mad, dude.
However, the whole thing was retired during the Warlords of Draenor expansion, so by extension, so too were these mounts. Another promotional mount was Tyrael's Charger.
I remember that one.
Blizzard's action RPG game, Diablo 3, was about to be released, and the World of Warcraft celebrated it with a promotion. If you bought a full year of game
I love
time,
going through this,
you
seeing
got the
all my
Diablo
mounts.
3 game, and
This should just be a list of all the mounts I have.
Just a few months later, the promotion ended, and you haven't been able to get it ever since, except for an error in late 2017 where it was accidentally made available for purchase in the cash shop. It was only meant to be sold on the Taiwanese and Korean versions of the game since they never had the promotion, but through some glitch, the US and EU servers were able to buy
have
it
all
for
those.
a short time.
Wait, what?
Next up, we have the
I have all
Cloakcrown
the sword
Warwolf
mounts.
from Pandaria.
Oh, come on.
This was the start of the end of expansion ritual, where if you kill the final boss before the next expansion's
I remember that
pre-patch,
one.
you get a mount.
I remember getting that one.
This was awarded to players who killed Garrosh Hellscream in the Siege of Orgrimmar raid on normal difficulty or higher before the Warlords of Draenor 6.0 pre-patch. Not the rarest mount, as there was a big stat squish at this time, and normal was pretty trivial to complete, but still kind of rare to see these days since it was so long ago.
Mists of Pandaria was so long ago?
Next up, we have the Brawler's Burly Mushan Beast.
The Mushan?
One of the new activities introduced in the Mists of Pandaria expansion was the Brawlers Guild,
I remember
where you
that
can
one.
spectate and participate in arena-style matches against unique
I used to love the Brawlers Guild. They should bring that shit
back. The more
back.
matches you win, the higher you rank up.
I love
and
this
this
is
mount
great.
was a reward for going all the way
the
to
hell
the
happened?
max, which was rank 8. It temporarily became no longer obtainable after Season 1 had concluded, but it saw a return for Season 2 during the Warlords of Draenor expansion. This led people to believe that it would return every season, but in Season 3 during Legion, it was replaced with the Brawler's Burly Basilisk instead.
I just want to pause this real quick. Someone says, what the fuck, your dad bought your WoW sub monthly. How did you get away with charging a whole year of WoW for the charger to his account? Because you could apply for it without actually having to re-input the card information. And since I figured that I would be playing the game for the next year, I just decided that I might as well sign my dad up to pay for it for the next year. And that's what I did. I got it on day one. I signed my dad up for the annual pass. He never knew the fucking difference. And I have the mount. So that's what happened.
This was also awarded to players who reached rank 8 during that season, and it too is now unobtainable ever since Season 3's conclusion in patch 8.0. And lastly for Pandaria, we have the Phoenix mounts. This expansion also introduced the Challenge Mode dungeons, which was basically an early form of Mythic Plus.
I can't spell
You
Phoenix,
raced
but I
through
have
these
them.
dungeons, and if you completed all of them in a certain time, you got some special transmog armor
You sure did.
and a mount. These mounts were awarded for receiving a silver medal in each of the dungeons, so not super tough to get, but still not easy.
I think challenge modes were
If you
amazing.
completed this achievement, you got an egg, which
I did
you could
more
then
challenge
trade in
modes than
for
Mythic Plus,
any one of the 4 different
and I didn't get
colored
anything
mounts.
from challenge modes.
This would be repeated once more
There
in
it
the
is.
Warlords of Draenor expansion.
There
Same
it
deal here.
is.
If you got a silver in every dungeon, you got a mount, although this time it was just one, and that's the Challenger's War Yeti.
It sure
All of
was.
these challenge dungeon mounts became unobtainable when the pre-patch for the next expansion launched. Next up in Draenor, we have the Warlord's Death
What the
Wheel.
fuck is that?
This one was pretty interesting because it was part of another promotion.
I don't remember any of
The
this.
American Choppers reality show did a mini web series for
Oh,
World of
right.
Warcraft where they built Horde and Alliance themed choppers. Fans voted on which one looked better, and the players of the winning faction would receive a special in-game copy of it as a mount if they logged in before September 30th, 2014.
And the Alliance had to pay
The Horde ended up
100,000 for
winning,
theirs.
so they all got their chopper for free. The Alliance still had access to their mount, the Champion's Dreadblade, but they had to pay a small fortune in gold,
I
and
hate
they
this
could
game.
still buy it even today.
Like, Blizzard, that's
Kind of
it's just
interesting
rigged.
that the winning chopper is no longer obtainable, but the losing one still is.
You can
So
always
for
be a
the
loser.
Alliance players who missed out, it's actually advantageous that their side lost. One way or another, the Alliance always wins. And another Draenor one
That's
is
right.
the Corehound. Actually, still technically obtainable through the black market,
Oh, I forgot about
but
that. Yeah,
the
you can
original
still
way
buy
that
those.
you got this was through the 10th anniversary event. Blizzard celebrated 10 years by temporarily re-releasing their first big raid, the Molten Core, as a level 100 LFR raid. If you finished the entire thing and you killed Ragnaros, you got a feat of strength and this mount as rewards. It was pretty rough at the
I
time,
hated
as
that
I
shit,
recall,
dude.
because it was a little overtuned for LFR standards.
It wasn't overtuned.
So there were lots of
the
wipes,
players were undertuned.
especially on the Baron Geddon fight with his bombs.
Like,
But it was
mentally
worth it to
undertuned.
finish it at least once for the mount.
I ran
And
it like
lastly
15 times
Draenor,
for
we
the
have the
enchant.
Grove Warden, commonly known as the Moose Mount.
The moose is
In
loose.
similar fashion to Garrosh and his wolf, you got this if you defeated the final
Easy.
boss of the Warlords of Draenor
Easy,
expansion,
easy.
Archimond, before
Everybody
the next
had this one,
expansion's
man.
pre-patch. This time, though, they bumped it up to heroic difficulty or higher, making
Boring
it a
as
bit
fuck.
tougher to obtain.
Players were dumb, dude.
Another promotional mount was released during Legion called the Primal Flamesaber. This time, it was tied to the Blizzard MOBA game, The Heroes of the Storm. In 2017, from the 14th
Why'd
of
they have to do
February
that?
to the 26th of March, if you played just 15 matches with a friend, you
I
got
just-
this mount as a reward.
I just played against
Ground
AI.
only, as you can see, but still pretty neat.
And we were able to do each game in
And
like 6
lastly
minutes.
for Legion, we have the Violet Spellwing. Just like the previous expansions, this was a reward for defeating the final boss before the next expansion's pre-patch. This time it was Argus the Unmaker on heroic difficulty or higher.
Remember how
before
I
patch
promised I was going to do
8.0.
runs of those?
And just for the sake of this video not becoming outdated in 1 week, we also
Oops.
have the War of Thorns mounts.
Sorry, guys.
There's a pre-launch event going on with the Battle for Azeroth where the Alliance and Horde are engaged in warfare. Trying not to spoil anything, if you complete the chain through the Darnassus
Yeah, they burned
portion,
down the tree.
you get the Teldrassil
Just tell 'em.
Hippogriff if you're Alliance, and the Undercity Plague Bat if you're Horde. Supposedly, these are only available up until the release of BFA, at which point they'll join the rest of these mounts in the Unobtainable category. So, that's it. For all of the ones that
He only
were
has
in-game at
250
least,
mounts?
there do exist some that have been data mined over the years,
Oh my
but they never
God.
made it to the actual game for one reason or another.
Damn.
I won't cover all of these because this video would be 2
Ooh,
hours
the red
long,
boy.
and they're not really super interesting anyways.
They're going to make that the 400
For the
mount one.
most part, they're just recolors of existing mounts.
That's not a big deal.
I guess an interesting one though is the Tiger Mount, which has sort of cemented itself into World of Warcraft urban legend and mythology.
How do you get
Ever
that?
since vanilla, this has been rumored
Yo, they should
to be
add that shit
obtainable
back.
from a secret spawning vendor in the world. This was fueled by the discovery of a normally unreachable secret cave in the Stranglethorn Vale zone called the Tiger Cave.
Oh my god.
You had to do some tricky wall jumps to reach this spot.
It's so weird. I haven't thought about this in years.
People sort of tied it to this mount.
Yeah.
However, it still hasn't seen the light of day 14 years later. There's also the Brewfest Kodo, clearly intended to be the Horde counterpart of the Brewfest Ram.
Wow.
But for some reason, never implemented.
Fuck them.
And the last one I'll mention is the Leopard Mount. Kind of similar in lore to the Tiger Mount, except without the cave.
That's actually
cool as fuck. This did actually see an appearance in the old alpha servers though, as evidenced by the screenshot. It just never made it in-game for some reason. But that's about it, I guess. Those are all of the unobtainable mounts that I know of, as of patch 8.0 that is. If I missed any, feel free to let me know. Like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Farewell for now, mortals. We hope you enjoyed today's video. See you again soon.
The fuck was that?